Hello, family. My name is John, and I am an addict. The speaker who is about to speak for you tonight, you know, in this process of recovery, you meet all types of people. Some of them have a negative effect on you, and some of them have a positive effect on you. And this gentleman here has had a positive effect on me and my life. He happens to be a friend, a person who I respect, and also he's my sponsor. And I'm quite sure if you use the principles of the program, which is honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness, he will have a positive effect on you. So without further ado, because I'm told I got a time limit here, so I'm going to keep it short. I'd like to bring you Sallam G.
Good evening, everybody. I'm an addict, and my name is Sallam. First, I'd like to thank a power greater than myself for bringing me down to Indiana to the North Central Area Convention, and I'd like to thank the Convention Committee for inviting me. I'm going to get a few housekeeping things out of the way before I get started. One thing is, I'm considered basic text thumping addict, but I don't think I'm going to thump the basic text tonight. I think I'm going to just share some experiences for the new guy. This is for the new guy. Let me get this housekeeping stuff out of the way. I'd like to bring you greetings from the Stepping Toward Recovery group that meets on Saturday night at 8 o'clock p.m. in the little incorporated area right outside of Chicago called South Holland, Illinois. That's my home group, best home group in the world. Ain't it honor? I also would like to thank Ray, man. Is Ray here? Where's Ray? I'd like to thank Ray, man, for calling me on a regular basis and talking me through this thing. You know, I'm a kind of funny person, man. I like do things that I like to do, you know, and sometimes, you know, when God called me, sometimes I don't like to listen. And I believe, man, that God called me to come down here. I had the option, you know, I said I wasn't going to say this, but, you know, the honesty part is I had the option to go somewhere else this weekend to speak. And that other place seemed to be more glamorous to me. You understand what I'm saying? The lights was going to be more flashier. You know what I'm saying? And I was going to be stepping on concrete instead of gravel and grass. But I talked to my sponsor, and I called him. I talked to him a little bit, and he said, man, you know what? Say, you might have been here with us, you know, and all of you would be having fun and everything, and everybody would be saying, you know, what's wrong with Sallam? And I know that what would have been wrong with you is that you didn't go where God sent you. So I'm here by the grace of a loving God. I also would like to thank all my friends that came down with me on the trip. They follow me mostly everywhere I go, and I'm grateful to have them with us, so I won't tell any lies tonight. Look, I'm going to tell y'all, man, I sat in some workshops today, and this is not going to be like that. I sat in some workshops today, and I know, man, sometimes, you know, when you talk about yourself and sometimes you want to give a real spiritual talk, you know, we have a certain tone we use, right? I don't have that tone. I really don't, man. So my sponsor say, when you're up here, man, and somebody asks you to come and share, you know, make a joyful noise. So I'd like for y'all to make a joyful noise for me right now. Give yourself a hand. Come on now. Come on. You know what, I sat in, and to show you how this thing works, I sat in the dining hall today, and I was happened to be talking to someone, And I talked to this guy for a while, and he told me he only had 34 days clean. Stand up, Mitch. That's my new friend. That's my new friend. Okay, I want y'all to look. This is how the thing works now. You know, this is how the thing works. You know, I want y'all to look out for Mitch, because he lived about, what, 20 minutes from here, Mitch? He lived about 20 minutes from here. Y'all should take care of him, man. This is how the thing works. I'm going to tell a quick story before I get started. So this is for the new people to show you that Narcotics Anonymous really work. We ain't just playing. We serious about the thing. You know, my wife and a couple of people that she sponsored went to Houston, Texas for the first time, and she don't usually fly. And she had one of the sponsees with her, and she don't usually fly. So y'all know what kind of situation that was, right? So they go to Houston. So on the way back home, you know, I don't know what happened. I think it was a holiday or something, and the flights just wasn't right, and they couldn't get back on a flight, and they were upset, and I'm laying home in the bed, and she called me and said, baby, we're not going to get on this flight. I said, what happened? Well, it's too many people. There's a flight canceled, and the people got on this flight, and we don't know what to do. So I said, okay, just wait for the next flight, try to get on the next one. So the next flight came, and she called me back faithfully. Baby, we're not going to get on this flight. I said, you know what? Just hold on. Give me the number to the phone. She gave me the number. I'm going to tell you how Narcotics Anonymous work. She gave me the number. I called somebody that I knew in Houston, Texas. And I called her back and say, what door are you at? And she told me, hey, Ma. And she told me what gate she was at. And I said, one of my friends is going to be there. And I told her the type of car he was driving. He'd be there to get you on out. So she said, somebody you know here going to come get us? I said, yeah. So my friend that I met in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, making conventions like this, went, picked him up from the airport, took him to a hotel, and put him up to the next morning. Now I'm talking about, man, her not knowing anybody in Houston, and just by me traveling a lot and meeting people in Narcotics Anonymous, they wasn't alone. And you know, we always say never alone. And that's what happened, man. So I'm just saying this to the new guy, you know, that we really love you here. And you know, sometimes we may not act like it, you know, but we're going to love you till you learn to love yourself around here. You know, and that's what we do. You know, we talk about the heartbeat of this program. I'm going to talk about that. Let me do this first. I got to get this out of the way first. I got to make sure I'm talking to the right people. I got to make sure I'm talking to the right people. There's something in our basic text. You know, it's always been a discrepancy on, you know, somebody say, who is the we? You know, in all our steps it says we except one, right? So it's always been a discrepancy about who's the we. Have y'all ever heard that discrepancy? You know, who's the we that they are talking about in the steps? Maybe y'all never heard that discrepancy. Okay. Okay, in case you hear that discrepancy, if you ID with any of the stuff that I'm going to mention, you know, if I ask any of these questions, if you ID with it, say yeah. If you don't, grunt a little bit. You know, if you do, hold your hand. Whatever you need to do to identify. This is on page 15. Our basic text of Narcotics Anonymous. Oh, 18. Excuse me now, page 18. And what it says on this page, it says, these are some questions we have asked ourselves. This is going to describe the week. It says, are we sure we want to stop using? Okay. Do we understand that we have no real control over drugs? Okay. Do we recognize that in the long run, we didn't use drugs, they used us? Okay. The jails and institutions take over the management of our lives at different times. Okay. Do we fully accept the fact that our every attempt to stop using or to control our using failed? Okay. All right. So do we know that our addiction changed us into someone we didn't want to be? Dishonest, deceitful, self-willed, people at odds with ourselves and our fellow man. Okay. Do we really believe that we have failed as drug users? Okay. So whenever you get into discrepancy about who's the we, it's these people that answer these questions. That's the we. And I believe that, you know, and I'm one that believes that everybody in Narcotics Anonymous is not part of the we. I'm going to make this disclaimer. I don't represent Narcotics Anonymous in any type of way. This is just one addict's experience with recovery in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. You know, my interpretation is a little bit I got from my sponsor. So, With that in mind, I like to say that what I would do is I'm going to tell a few stories. I'm not going to make it real boring. I'm not going to step walk anybody, you know, because I'm not authority on the steps. I might mention a few, but I'm going to tell you all a story. You know, it wasn't easy for me to get here. It wasn't easy for me to get here at all. I didn't just decide one day that I spent all the money or stole the turkey out of the refrigerator that my mom was going to cook for Thanksgiving dinner and decided I needed to come to Narcotics Anonymous. That didn't happen to me. You know, I didn't go to, you know, 5 or 10 penitentiaries in the state of Illinois and decide to go into penitentiaries was too much for me that I was going to come to Narcotics Anonymous. I didn't get out of my 10th broken relationship and decided I was coming to Narcotics Anonymous. That didn't happen to me. I was one of the ones they talk about in jail, you know, when they said that we had a misconception of what addicts were, you know, that jail, street crimes, and other stuff they talk about in the literature. I agree with that, because that's where I was, you know. I was one of the ones, man, that, you know, had a place to go, but didn't go, man, because I was too embarrassed to go there. I was one of the ones, man, that, you know, thought that, you know, nobody was going to like me unless I did the things that other people around me did. I'm talking about, man, this is the story I'm going to tell, man, about a black boy. I'm just talking about me because I don't know about y'all. I'm talking, this could be a too fat story. This could be a pink story. This could be an albino story. This could be a skinny person story. This could be a person with too many freckles story. But I'm going to tell the story about this black boy with a seedy head and pink lips and big ears. I'm going to tell that story. I'm going to tell that story, man, because that's the one that affected me, man. I'm talking about being that person in my own household, man, and hearing my brothers and sisters and my mama sometimes talk about, you know, go ahead, old blackie. Go ahead, old big liver lip. Dumb boy ears. Get on away from here. Nobody wants you around us. I heard that stuff in my own household, man. I'm not talking about the outside world. You know, I'm not blaming the outside world for nothing. I heard this stuff, man, right in my own household. I'm talking about a little boy, man, that grew up that, you know, wanted to love everybody, man, just wanted to play, and just like my sponsor said, I just wanted to be happy. Just happy for no reason happy. But they wouldn't allow me to, man, because, you know, I still felt like I was less than inside my own house. So, you know, what I was able to identify with, man, from the beginning, that it was a difference. It was a difference in the beginning. You know, everybody's not alike, man. I found out from the beginning it was a difference, man. And the difference was my skin color and my nappy head. I understand they didn't know. But anyway, the thing was, man, and once I started feeling bad in my own household, I started going outside of my household. I started looking for friends that were like me, man. You know, little Johnny boy and them, you know. And I like, you know, the people in the street, man. I mean, my friends. I used to stay outside, man, till dark. I didn't want to go back home, man, because I know how they treated me there. So I stayed outside with my friends. And then, man, I heard from the people that I thought was our role models, you know, the teachers in the neighborhood, the insurance men in the neighborhood, and all the prestigious people in the neighborhood that was supposed to be teaching us how to grow up and be productive members of society. I started hearing them say, "Don't bring that boy to my house." I mean, I'm talking about a little boy. Don't bring that boy to my house. Don't bring him in here. He's going to steal something. Man, and I hadn't stolen anything yet. I was still on the stealing side, right? I hadn't stolen anything yet. But they had already said, "Don't bring me into the house, man, and I was going to steal something." And it wasn't because I stole something, man. It was because of the way I looked. Because my hair was seedy all the time. You know, so they identified being black and having seedy hair as being something that was bad. So, man, all that stuff took a toll on me as a little boy, man. So, you know, I didn't have any place to go, man. You know, I couldn't go home because they talked about me. Now, man, I couldn't play with my little friends because, you know, the mamas and daddies didn't want me in the house, man. Now, what I was going to do? So as time went on, man, the thing about the time went on, man, I developed some characteristics. I developed some valuable characteristics. And one of them is, man, I became a real good liar. I developed a real good characteristic, you know, and that character, and it's hard to let that one go today. You know, that's part of who I am. You know, if the lying part, man, you know, I became a real good liar. And what happened was my family realized I was a good liar too. And they took advantage of my lying skills. What happened was, you know, I used to go down south, man, down South Carolina to visit my family. And they was living down there, and they lived in those houses, you know, up off the ground. You know, ones you had some bricks underneath. Anybody know about those houses? Y'all hip to them? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I used to go down there, and my aunts sold that liquid drug, right? They sold that liquid drug, the one that the state didn't want them to sell, the one that they couldn't tax. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, so they used to sell that one, man. They used to sell that one. So my job was to crawl under this house, bury this stuff, and then when they needed something extra, they needed an extra one, I would go into the house, get it, and bring it upstairs. They knew I wasn't telling anybody because they knew I was a good liar. And all I wanted, man, to show you how the thing go, all I wanted, man, was for somebody to want me. They gave me a job to do, man, so I was going to be the best little liquid drug hider they had. And I was for a while. So what happened, man, I started looking in this back door. Y'all probably heard the story I told before. I started looking in this back door, you know, and I started watching my aunt and all. And usually it was all men and just my mom and my aunts, right? So I started looking in this back door, and what was happening at this time, they was laughing and joking and playing cards, and they were patting my aunts and stuff on the butt and all that kind of stuff. Man, they was having a good time with this liquid thing, you know, this liquid drug they were drinking. So what happened, man, was I decided something was going on with this. I wanted to be happy. I told you I was a miserable little boy. I just wanted to be happy. So they was happy. I figured that if I got some of this stuff, I'd be happy too. So what I did, without them asking me to go get a stash, I crawled under there one day, man. It's about 100 degrees outside. You know how it is down south, right? So it probably was 140 underneath there, right? So I'm in there, man. So I cracked one of them open. So I went up with it, and man, look, burnt me up. I said, oh no, I ain't going this way. So being, you know, mischievous, and so I watched them a little while longer. So what I found out, they was getting it cold out of the refrigerator, George. They was getting it cold, right? So I went and I got me some coal. And that coal went down real good, right? So look, so when I got the coal down, man, you know, the next thing you know, I was doing all like this, you know, I was staggering, you know, I was acting like the guys was acting. I see them act like this, right? I got the staggering all around the house, man. I looked over in the ashtray, there was a cigarette butt. I got a cigarette butt. I was smoking cigarettes and sick as a dog, man. But you know what? I like that feeling. I like that feeling, man. I think I was about 8 or 9 years old when that happened, man. I like that feeling. And then, man, you know what? It was 35 years later when I woke up. I'm talking about 35 years later, man. When I think about that, man, you know, I think that God, man, really blessed me. I mean, man, that was a long time. That's a lifetime of doing something. That's a whole lifetime, man. I had lived my whole life doing that. So if I don't seem to be the type of person y'all would like to see tonight, you know, well, God's still working with me. I'm talking, man, my whole life, man. You know, I'm only 53 years old, but, man, I spent 35 years of my life, man, using. I'm telling you, man, it was a rough road. And I didn't think it was rough, man, until I got clean. Because you know the story about, you know, when the little story I tell about when you're in it, man, you don't really know what's going on because you're in it. You can't even see what's going on because you're in it. You know, I used to always tell my friends, man, I'm gonna shoot dope till the day I die. I was in a hopeless state of mind at that time, man, and I thought that that's what I needed to do because I couldn't see any way out. That's just like, you know, you're on a swimming team or something, and little Johnny boy down in the I like to tell stories, y'all find that. Little Johnny boy down in the water swimming, you know, and the Nile process is going on. So Johnny boy in the water swimming, and so the coach standing up on the side, and he's saying, Johnny boy just learned the breaststroke now, right? He breaststroke, and he say, Johnny boy, you're pulling too hard to the left, you could come into the wall. And Johnny boy, instead of stroking, but he hollered to the coach, no, I'm not. No, I'm not the coach. I'm Johnny boy, you know, you're pulling too far to the left. Johnny boy didn't stop until his head hit the wall. Because Johnny boy thought he was going straight, man. He thought he was going on the straight, but the coach was outside looking in. So that's what I'm saying about Narcotics Anonymous, man. We have to have some people, man, outside us, man, to give us some direction and where to go. Because I can't see myself, man, all the time. Sometimes I'm one of the ones, man, I always want to be right. You know, sometimes, man, I'm dead wrong, but I want to be dead right. Sometimes I need my friends to say, man, look, you're dead wrong. You know, but the story went on, man. So from that point, the story went on, man. It was easy for me to use because I didn't have nothing else, man. I was accepted by the people in my neighborhood, man. Once I got that liquor drug, it took me to another one, man. And then I got accepted by people in my neighborhood. And what brought me here really was the fact that I saw some guys standing on the corner in my neighborhood, man. And they was real nice dressed guys, you know. That's how it was in the old days. It was real nice dressed guys, you know. And they used to have them real long handkerchiefs hanging out of their back pocket. And they used to have on those pointed toe shoes. I don't know whether they were like this in your neighborhood or not, but they had them long pointed toe shoes on and them nice looking slacks and the nice looking shirts on, you know. And they'll stand on the corner and they'll be talking to each other, right? They'll be talking to each other, and he might say, well, man, you know what? Yesterday he'd stay there about 10 minutes, he'd come up and say, yeah, I went around the corner and and so I thought something was real clever about that. So I used to watch them, man. I used to stand back and watch them on the corner. I said, man, they can really do that thing real good. And some of them were so good, man, they would go all the way down almost to the concrete. They'd be all like this. And I said, man, that's real cool. And so I wanted that. I'm going to tell you, man, this is what kind of addict I am. I wanted that. See, I'm not one man that started off with the little dainty spoon, you know, little dainty spoon and a little valve you used to carry around with you. Sometimes you had about a $50 bill you used to roll up, and you used to bring it around to all your friends and put it on the saucer, and everybody would be polite and pass the dollar bill around, and everybody just get them one. That never happened to me, man. That never happened to me. I was too greedy for that. That didn't happen to me, man. I wanted it all. And so, man, when I first started using, man, I'm one of the dinosaurs, man. I was an IV drug user. I started that way, and I ended up that way. I started that way, man. I ended up that way, man. So, you know, I'm telling you, man, I had a rough road. I had a rough road, man, because I chose it. I had a rough road, man, because, you know, I was on every methadone clinic in the city of Chicago. I've been on every methadone clinic, man, in the city of Chicago. If anybody familiar with methadone, I don't know. Anyway, it's this drug that they would give you to say they was going to get you off of drugs, but it's a drug too. Y'all ain't hip to that. You know, our literature say the only way we can get off this thing is by not using. But, you know, they said their theory is we're going to give you this drug to get you off of this drug. And what I did, I started liking that drug better than other drugs. So now I'm using both drugs, and I incorporated another drug with it. So I was messed up, man, for a lot of years. And for me to and the thing about it is, man, you know, that went on for years. And I didn't think anything was wrong with me. Because you know what, man, I still had old raggedy car, you know, that was all beat up and the gear shift didn't work. I had to use a screwdriver on it to make it go. I could still take somebody to hustle. I still had a key in my pocket to somebody's door. I didn't use it, but I had the key. You know, I still had a pair of All-Stars that I could wear. You know, they wasn't laying all over. The heel wasn't all the way out, you know, boo. The heels wasn't all the way out. You know, and I had a pair of blue jeans on, man, so I was looking a little better than Keno on them. Keno on them was kind of filthy. So I judged myself, man, by Keno on them. Keno on them had to live in the abandoned building, man, but I always told myself that I could go home anytime I got ready because I had the key. But every night, when Keno and them laid down, I laid down there with them. And you know what, man, and my life went like that, man. It went like that, man, until the last particular time I'm not going to speak too long tonight, George. Anyway, that happened, man, with me until I woke up and I've done maybe about six bits in the penitentiary, and all of them was drug related, stealing or selling something or sticking up something or whatever it was, a manslaughter or whatever the cases was that I had. I spent a lot of time in the penitentiary and jails and institutions managed my life for me. What happened was, you know, that scared me most is that, man, what scared me, really scared me was the fact that I got so used to going back and forth to the penitentiary, it wasn't a deterrent anymore. Listen to what I'm saying, y'all. I got used to going back and forth to the penitentiary, it wasn't a deterrent. When they say, you know, if I committed a crime, all I wanted to know from the judge or from the state's attorney, you know what? I only had one trial since I've been going back and forth. I really only had one trial where I really exercised the judiciary system. What I always did when the state's attorney came to my cell and said, well, okay, you got this charge, you know you're a habitual criminal, you take this 2 years and that'll be it. Or take a 5 years, or take 6 years. And I always say, okay, come on with the 2 years, or come on with the 3 years. I never exercised the judiciary system, man, because I was afraid that I went in there and lost, they'd give me more time than I really wanted to do. So I came to a point, man, that I had my mind set on how much time I wanted to do, man, and that's how I proceeded. So this last time, time between each bit got shorter, y'all. Listen to this. I did 3 years, you know, then I came out and I might have did maybe 2 years on the street. Then I'll go back and do another 2 or 3 years and come out, I might have did a year on the street. Go back, spend 3 or 4 years in. Next time I might spend 6 months on the street. So each time I came out, man, my time outside was shorter and shorter. And this last time, man, was exactly 60 days. I did 4 years, came out, and I stayed on the street 60 days exactly, and I was right back. So in some strange type of way, I think I was begging for some help. I just didn't know how. You know, I know that when I went to penitentiary, that's the only time I didn't use was the last time, because I used when I was in penitentiary too. Last time I didn't. I went to, they sent me to a county jail, and the judge I had in front of me, the state's attorney, had already offered me 2 years, y'all, and I like to tell a story. He offered me 2 years, and in Illinois, it's half time. If you get 2 years, you only got to do 1. Listen to math now. Listen to the math. Okay, they offered me 2 years. I had 5 years that I was supposed to do. They told me they were going to cut that away, give me 2 if I just say guilty. So I said, fine. I was already in the county jail 9 months. So when they told me that, I said, fine, come on with it. Because I happen to know that when you go downstate, you only got to do half of it, but they give you 30 days good time in the front yards and 30 days on the back. So I had 1 month to do. I was ready. The Z's had already told me, say, Sallam, look, Jack, we got him again. The Z's was jacking my slacks up, and I was ready to go home, man. Look, I'm telling you, man. Because I was ready to use, man, you know, being in that time, man, it wasn't a deterrent to me, man. I was ready to use again, but that didn't happen. What happened, man, is I wound up they sent some state agency to visit me to find out whether I was capable of going to this, you know how they send a state and see whether you could go to treatment or not. I talked to the people real crazy. They told the judge, no, he can't go. He's not, you know, he's not rehabilitatable. But what happened was that he can't go. He wasn't rehabilitatable. So what happened was they went back and he told them, well, you better find a place for him. If you don't find a place for him, we're going to let him out on the street. So the state's attorney jumped straight up. Oh, no. I cut in his success rate now, you know, if the judge can let me go. So he said, I'm going to give you 2 weeks and we'll come back for determination to see what happened. Man, 2 weeks, I think I went back, man, 3 days later, I was in a little truck. I was in a little van heading to the treatment center. I was so pissed off, man, look. I'd already prayed to the higher power, say, God, you know, let your will be done. You know all the good stuff you pray when you're in tights, you know what I mean? God, let your will be done, and just give me the strength. Give me the strength to accept whatever comes down the pipe. That's the prayer I was praying, right? So when I got God's determination, I didn't want it. See, because what happened, man, the state's attorney had already intervened. He told me 2 years. And so I'm locked and loaded on 2. I know, man, I got to do 30 days, and I've been on the street using it again. This judge, man, I was like, what the fuck wrong? Excuse me. What is wrong with him trying to cut into my deal, man? Something wrong with him. And I argued. They said, man, going back to the jail. So they sent me back, man. So I wound up in a treatment center, man, and I didn't want to be there. And the first night I was there, I threatened a little guy. If anybody ever been to treatment, you know they got these people that watch over you when you go in there, right? So, you know, they got these little people to be there. They call themselves, whatever they call themselves, right? I ain't knocking at you. I'm in that kind of field myself. But anyway, they got these little people. Hey, Jay. So look, they got these little people that watch over you. So I go there, man, and so they make me sit on this chair for about 2 or 3 hours, like it was a privilege for me to be there or something, right? So they didn't forget, man, that, I just left out of the penitentiary, man. So I'm one of the ones that y'all see on TV to be pumping that iron all the time. Their necks be about this big and arms be like this. I used to look like that. Seriously. I'm serious. When I first got out, man, I used to look like that. My neck was about this thick. I don't know where all that went. But anyway, so I go in this little spot. Excuse me. So when I go into this little spot, I sat there for about 4 or 5 hours. I'm sitting on this chair, and everybody going by and they eating dinner and everything. I'm still sitting there like stupid. I said, what is going on here? So I got up off the chair. I said, man, look, I've been here, man. What is this? Is this another jail or something? He said, man, sit on the prospect chair, whatever they told me to sit on. So I sat down on the chair again, man, and so I got tired. So I sized them up. You know how you doing the guys in the penitentiary, they size you up, right? So I went back to my survival skills. I sized them up, and I looked down there, man, there wasn't no bars on the doors wasn't locked. I said, okay. So I walked up to him, and the stud was about this tall, right? The stud was about this tall. So, I'm telling you, I got this big old neck, right? Got this big old neck. So I walk up to him, I said, hey, man. I said, look. I said, what's going on? He said, well, sit down, fool. I said, man, look, I'm leaving up out of here right now. So the guy saw me, my neck and my body was all, I flexed my muscle a little bit. He backed up like this. He said, well, go on, fool. We ain't sent for your ass. Go on. They forced you on us. Get on out of here. So what I did, man, I grabbed my little greasy bag. I had a little plastic bag, right? So I grabbed my little plastic bag and I headed for the door. I'm out of here. Man, look. I opened that door up there. It's out in the country. That's what this place reminds me of, right? No. I'm in touch. I'm telling you, I'm in touch. So, I ain't had no flashlight or nothing. So I got this bag, man. I go to this door. And I hit the door and I push it open, right? And look, it's pitch black outside. So I stood there, man. It didn't take me long, right? I stood there for a few minutes, and I turned around and told him, yeah, man, okay, I'm going in the morning. Look, y'all, look. In the morning was 9.5 months later. So but I'm grateful for higher power, man, that allowed me to stay in this spot this long. And I'm going to tell you how some things start happening, man, as a direct result of not shooting dope. When I say shooting dope, I mean smoking the pipe or the primos or whatever you did, it don't matter. As a direct result of stop using, man, so things start happening to me. From that point on, man, things start happening. Look what happened. I'm in this treatment center, man, I'm not using. I'm smart enough to know if I use, I'm going back to penitentiary. Judge already told me that. Say, if you don't finish this treatment center, you come back, you got 15 years for this crime. Say, because you're a habitual criminal. If some carry 5 years, you're getting 20 for it. We want you to understand that. So you better go to that treatment center and they better give me a good report. You can't leave until they tell you to leave. So I'm smart enough to know, man, not go out on my past. I ain't shooting no dope. I'm not doing it, man. I'm not going to get caught up in this house, man, where, I can't get out and they don't get this judge a fair report. So I was, using my head a little bit. But still, I was manipulating. What happened, man, while I was there, somebody sent me a letter from an agency, a child care agency, and the letter said that Mr. Sallam, we have information that you're the father of a child that we have in our organization. So, I'm questioning that now. I'm questioning that. What kind of stuff is that? Shoot, I just left the penitentiary. I only stayed on the street 2 months and I only had maybe one shot. I only had one shot, y'all. The rest of it was dope. You know what I'm saying? So I said, this can't be true. That can't be true. So they said, well, then they wrote me another letter saying, well, if you're afraid, don't be afraid. We're not accusing you of anything. Someone just said that you were the father of her child, and this child is in our custody. We would just like for you to come see the child. So now, being real intelligent, that's all they want me to do. So I'm finding me a way to get out of the treatment center every day. Y'all got what I'm saying? Y'all ever been to treatment? Who been to treatment in here? Okay, we all understand. You can't get in and out unless you got some business outside, right? So now I got me some business outside. I'm going to see this little boy, right? How old was I then? I can't remember how old I was. I was over 40. I was over 40. So I'm going to see this little boy. So I go to this child care agency, you know, and they got this little boy, you know, and he's still in, you know, a little arm baby, right? So I go over there and see him. I said, shoot, I can't tell nothing. You know, so I go to see him, and this is what I'm telling y'all some stories now for the newcomer. I ain't gonna beat y'all with the text, but look, some things happen, man. Some things happen, you know, as a direct result of starting not using. So what I did, man, I started going. They said, well, we want you to come as often. You can come as often as you want to. We're not blaming on you. Just get to know this child if you want to. I said, fine. Every Thursday, I was on that little bus, riding that little bus into the city to see this little boy. So in the meantime, I done started calling little girlfriends and everybody. Meet me over there by the little child care agency. We can go in the bathroom and get our thing on. So now I'm copping on my trip to see this little boy. Not the drugs, you know, a little sex I was copping, right? So I'm copping, so I'm living large now, you know, and I'm go back to the little treatment center. I'm full. I'm laying on full, man, you know. So every Thursday I got my regular shot. So what happened was, I started spending a little time with the little boy, right? I'm spending a little time with him, and now as time went over, you know, I said I was there 9 months, so you know, about 6 months it went past, and I've been seeing this little boy, so now he is starting to wobble a little bit. He's not walking, but he's wobbling, and then it seemed like every time I go, he started to seem like he was happy to see me. He'd be in the foster mother's arm, and then he would come and he'd get him on. And he'd just be gurgling. You know how babies do, right? So, you know, this is a new experience for me. So, you know, I'm going to see this little boy, so all of a sudden, now they popped the question. You know, they had me caught up. They knew what they were doing, man. They knew what they were doing. They knew, man, that, you know, I had all these emotions, and I just wanted somebody to love me, man. I mean, from a little boy now. I told y'all about the Cedarhead story, right? From the Cedarhead story, man, I told you I always wanted somebody to love me, man. And you know, this little boy seemed to love me for who I was. He didn't care nothing about the big lips and the Cedarhead. And sound like one day, man, it sounded like the little boy said, Daddy. Yes, he's mine. When are we going to court? Look. Who said that? Look, I'm over 40 years old. You know, I'm single. I'm over 40 years old. All I wanted, man, I've been in penitentiary all my life. I'm clean. I'm feeling good. Got a thick neck. Every time I go down the street, had my little sleeve roll up like this. I had a few muscles, and the sisters was looking at me. So what I wanted, man, was an active dating schedule. So you know what kind of nut is sitting here telling these people, let's go to court and get a little boy? What am I going to do with it? So I jumped up and said that, man. So what happened was they took me to court. They took me to court. So what? But the amazing thing about this newcomer, the amazing thing about this is this particular time, man, I didn't come from the basement with my hands behind my back. I'm talking about this particular time now. Maybe y'all ain't never been to jail. Maybe y'all ain't getting what I'm saying. This particular time, man, I didn't have the handcuffs on and nobody grabbing me by my arm, holding on to me while I was talking to the judge. This time, man, I walked through the front door and told them, walk through the front door on my own, right? Wasn't worried about the bail bondsman saying, you know, come on, we forfeiting your bond. I wasn't worried about that, man. So I stood there and the judge asked me a couple key questions. He said, well, you know what kind of undertaking you're taking on? So you a singer, man, you know, how you going to do this thing? So he said, well, these are the things you have to do. They gave me a list of stuff I had to do, right? So one of them on there, I looked at one of them and I started laughing. He said, why are you laughing like that? I said, I'm looking at number 7. He said, what is number 7? You have to take a urine test. I know I had that one beat. Look, I knew I had that one beat. I was still clean. I knew I had that one beat. I was laughing at number 7. But the rest of them, man, I didn't know how I was going to do it. So what happened, man, to show you how God works, man, and this bond was mine. I was supposed to have it. The people from the agency, man, started doing some things. They started saying, okay, come on, get him, and you can keep him for a couple of hours by yourself, just you and him. So I'll get him, and I got him in my arm, you know, and in the stroller and stuff, and we go down the street. I don't know what to do with it, you know, but I just walk him anyway, and I bring him back a couple of hours. Then my couple of hours turned into half a days. Then my half a days turned into one day on the weekend. I'm talking about the progression. Then my one day on the weekend say, well, take him for the whole weekend. Call us and we'll come get it. And I started doing that. You know, and I was living with a woman at that time, and she said that she didn't want him to come and live there with us because she didn't want to go through that kind of stuff. So I had to find a place for me and this little boy if I wanted to keep him, because I've gotten to the point where I was going to court again. So when I finally went to court, man, this last particular time, I went in the courtroom, you know, and he was there. He was there, and you know, I'm real observant. You know, when you're a thief, man, you know how you case the joint, right? So when I went in there, man, I saw him sitting over there with them, and they had a bag. It was a nice sized bag. So I go in and I said, something going on. So when I got up there, and the judge read all the stuff, and he checked off all the things that I did, and I did everything that they asked me to do. And so, you know what he told me? After everything, you know, he asked the agency, well, what did you think? And they said, yes, Your Honor. So he completed everything. And he said, you know what? You know what, Dad? Call me Dad. So you know what, Dad? You can take him home now. So my heart got to beating real fast, y'all. So, you know, I've been playing this game all the time, right? You know how you play a game, and so now it's time to fess up and do the right thing. So they brought him over to me, you know, and he, by this time, y'all, he wobbling, you know, he just learned how to walk, right? So they bring him over to me, and I got my hand like this, and they put his hand in my hand, and I'm standing there, right? So I said, anything else? They said, take him home, Dad. So the fear done set in now, right? You know, what am I going to do, man? I'm almost 40-some years old. What am I going to do with a little boy? He's about 11 months old, man. What am I going to do with a kid now? You know, and then they give me this little bag with a few Pampers in it and a few little milk bottles and said, we'll talk to you later. So I got this little boy and I got these Pampers in the bag. So I stop and I look in the bag and it wasn't nothing but milk bottles and Pampers. I said, God, you know. So I'm walking with him down the hall, so I said, they back there laughing at me. I could hear them laughing at me in the courtroom, you know what I mean? And look, and the bad thing about it, y'all, they didn't put no instruction manual in the bag. So from that point, you know, I was in the meetings every night. I was in the meeting crying about what am I going to do with this little boy? I don't know. I'm a single parent. I'm too old to have kids. What am I going to do? And so I'm grateful for the. I said thank God for the sisters in Narcotics Anonymous. I said thank God to y'all because man, you know what y'all were telling me? Well, Sallam, look, ain't no sense you keep on complaining. He ain't going back. You know, ain't no thing if you don't do good. You ain't get no test. You got him for life. So if you cry, there's only two things wrong. He either wet or he hungry. Oh, what I'm going to do? Feed him food. And look, so now, you know, and I'm going to keep on telling the story. So that wasn't the end of the story. So I said, well, you know, I believe in this higher power. Maybe God said I'm fit for this thing, man, but I don't feel it. So, you know, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, and I'm taking him back and forth. You know, they gave me a little card, a little medical card. I was supposed to take him back and forth to this hospital, man, Children's Hospital out in Chicago. And I took him back and forth to the hospital, man. I just take him back, you know, religiously, and then they give me another appointment, and I take him back. For this third time, man, I started paying a little attention to where I was taking him. So this particular day, man, I looked up at the department that I was taking him in. And I looked up, man, and the department said infectious disease clinic. So now, you know, I ain't a stupid addict, you know. I'm, you know, infectious disease, you know. The only thing I know, man, is when you used to catch the clap, you know what I mean, man? So I want to know what's going on now. So I started asking some questions, man. After all this time, I asked some questions. I asked him, I said, well, why are we up here? I saw the other little kids downstairs in that other clinic. They're down there playing on the floor and having a good time. Why I got him up here? So what they found, they took me in the conference, they told me that he was born HIV positive. So right away, you know, my eyes got kind of warm and hot, and I started to cry a little bit, man, because I didn't know too much about HIV, the virus and everything. I just used to hear what people say on the street, you know. You get the virus, you die. That's all I knew, man. They just say you get the virus, you die. So now, you know, and it's a progression, you know, in that process. So, you know, I cried out, you know, God, why are you doing this to me? You know, why would you give me somebody that you know is going to die? I'm not prepared for this. And I asked for some help. You know, why you do this? You know, I want an active dating schedule, God. Give me that. I can handle an active dating schedule. But that didn't happen. So I kept on taking them back and forth, and taking them back and forth, and taking them back and forth. Every time I went to the place, I felt, you know, a bunch of weight on me, you know, but I took them back and forth, y'all. And, you know, my sponsor at that time, and everybody kept telling me, man, keep on praying and keep on taking it. So, you know, it's something going to happen. So I kept on praying, I kept on taking it. So about the sixth time I took him over there, they told me, said, well, you know, something is happening here, you know, it's indeterminate now. So he's about maybe going on almost 2 years old now. It was indeterminate. So they told me to bring him back in 3 months. I took him back in 3 months, and they told me it was non-active. Then they said, well, you know, we're not sure, bring him back again. So I brought him back the next time. They told me that it was non-active. So I said, well, you know, what's happening? I said, maybe the test's not right. And they told me to bring him back 3 more. I took him back now. He's a little over 2 years old now, you know. So I brought him back again, and I took the test, and they told me, don't bring him back anymore. So he's negative, you know. I'm not one to say that God tests us in any kind of way. I'm not one to say that. I just know, man, that, you know, that we have to patiently persevere around here. You know what, man, the thought of using never crossed my mind. And I thought about that after all this happened, man. The thought of using never crossed my mind. And my friends that know me, man, know that I struggled with that. I struggled with that, man. And then they told me, then they went on to educate me a little bit after that happened. They told me that children usually take on their own antibodies. They come with the mother's antibody, but after 2 years old, they take on their own antibodies. And that's just a little FYI for people who don't know that thing, you know, because I didn't. But, you know, to show you, man, that, you know, that I patiently persevere, man, and all this stuff happened, man, as a direct result of one thing. I stopped using. So I got through that thing, man, you know, and he's 11 years old now, man. He's I'm going to say he's real bad, but he's getting a little bit better. So what I do, man, is when they do something, they call from the school for me to come up to school, man, you know, I'm not going to say I'm happy to go to the school, but what it is, man, I'm grateful that he's not sick, that he's a little boy, man, and he's clowning. So, you know, I don't know whether that sound warped or anything, but, you know, I'm just saying this, I know where he could have been. You know, he hadn't cursed the teacher out yet. He ain't slapped nobody at the school or something. You know, he just talk a lot. He's like his dad. You know, he like meaningful conversation. So, you know, I'm telling y'all, man, so these things happen, man, to me, and it's happened as a result of me not using, man. That same little boy used to, I decided I got tired of working at night in this factory, man. I used to work at night in this factory, you know, as a die maker. You know, anybody know anything about machine shops? You know, we get real filthy. Your hands stay nasty all the time. You got steel in your hand all the time. So I want to do something different. So I said, well, I told my friends, man, I want to go to school. I want to get a degree, man. I'm tired of working in this factory. Somebody said, okay, Sallam, you know, if you want a degree, you know, go to school. So you can get a degree. But we warn you, man, don't take the correspondence course. You know, so I didn't take the correspondence course. I went on to the school and I signed up, man, and started at this little 2-year college. I'm talking about somebody, man, that came from nothing. I went to this little 2-year college, man, and I was there. I patiently persevered, and that little boy used to go with me every morning, man, to school. He'd wake me up sometime and say, "Come on, Dad, it's time to go to school," because he liked that going back and forth. And at the little, he used to stay downstairs in the little child care center while I went to class. He was so bad in the child care center, they used to call me in class sometime to come get him. They would get ready to put him out of there, man. He was about 3 years old. So anyway, we went to this little school, man, and show you how things is, man. I won, and after I finished that little school, man, I won an academic, and I'm not bragging. I'm just saying, you know, trying to show the newcomer that things are possible when we stop using. You know, and I won an academic scholarship, man, to go to a 4-year college. All I had to do was show up there. You know how I do, and I never thought I was a real smart person in school, man, because when I was in high school, I had a full-blown heroin habit when I was in 11th grade. I barely graduated. I was in the 11th grade, man. I had a full-grown heroin habit. I was running back and forth to D.C., man, buying syrup to sell. So I had a full-blown habit, man, you know, and I went from that, man, to winning this academic scholarship to go to 4-year school, man. I went there and I did that. And I maintained, man, I graduated, man, with a higher grade point average. I'm on a mission now, you know. I'm on a mission, man, to do something better. So I went from there, man, and I'm on another degree now. And doing well, man, you know, and almost finished, man, thanks to a loving wife, man, that put up with me. You know, I got married in the Fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous, and I'm saying congratulations to that couple that got married down here. Man, it can work. Everybody don't have a failed relationship in Narcotics Anonymous. You know, we don't all have failed relationships. You know, and I resent people to say that, you know, when you know, somebody's relationship don't work, they always say, you got to look around you got to look at where you met them at. Like all addicts bad, man. You know, we had some values, man, some goals before we came to Narcotics Anonymous. I believe that everybody around here, man, is geared toward good. We was geared toward good before we even came here, man. I don't think that, you know, we got all our values and morals since we came to Narcotics Anonymous. Because, man, most of the stuff, man, that we are relearning, listen now, most of the stuff that we get now, we are relearning. Because I bet your grandmama, your mama told you some of the stuff we'll tell you around here. If you lay down, you know, you hang out with dogs, you get fleas. And all they're saying is what we say, well, you got to give up your using friends. Isn't that what we say? Yeah. If you go back around them people, you know, they'll get you high before you can get them clean. Same thing. You know, I know how many people, you know, mama say, look, don't you go down that corner with them boys. You better not hang out with them down that corner. Oh, mama, you don't know what you're talking about. You just lay here in this house and you know everything. Look, don't go down them boys. I know them. Miss Mary, somebody said she saw them doing, you know how they do, right? And we tell them, mama, you don't know what you're talking about. Go right down there on that corner with them boys, and you the one wind up locked up. Or something happened to you, man, every time, you know. So we're learning some things around here. And I believe, man, we can have healthy relationships in Narcotics Anonymous. I don't know why I even said that, man. I don't know what's healthy and what's not. I know, man, that, you know, the only way I'm going to learn how to do something, man, if I do it. You know, I don't believe in the thing about, you know, I heard people say, and I don't know why they would say this, because it's kind of contradictory. Now I'm going to get on my soapbox a little bit. It's kind of contradictory to our whole thing in Narcotics Anonymous. When somebody say, come around here, don't get in a relationship. I don't know what kind of relationship they're talking about. If they're talking about a boy-girl relationship, I think, you know, we confuse the newcomer. If you say, you know, don't get in a relationship and don't explain it, man, we confuse the newcomer. Our whole program is based on relationship. They say that the heartbeat of the program of Narcotics Anonymous is sponsorship. If you're a sponsor, you want somebody to sponsor you, you have to build a relationship. So how are we going to tell people don't get in a relationship? It tells us in the 9th step of Narcotics Anonymous that the only place it talks about what sanity is, it says at least a part of sanity is effectively relating to others. And to me, that's a relationship. That's the only place in the basic text that talk about what sanity is. So sanity is, you know, kind of, to me, man, is trying to get along with other people. How am I going to have a higher power, man? I pray to you on a daily basis and ask for help, man. I can't ask my own brothers and sisters in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous for help. My help has never came when I was on my knees praying. Never came, and I never heard God's answer. And God bless all y'all to say y'all prayed and y'all heard your higher power talking to you. You need to go on the road to Bottom and Bailey somewhere. Make some money. Don't get mad at me, y'all. No. Ray, where's Ray? You will be in trouble, man. No. And maybe that may happen to somebody. Maybe I haven't been privileged to that kind of thing. Because see, maybe my higher power know what kind of guy I am. Because if I pray and he started answering me, I'm going to tape it. Listen, I'm going to be getting y'all dollar bills. I'm going to be sending out white handkerchiefs. And I don't want y'all to go to sleep on me. That's why I'm just joking a little bit. Anyway, I don't believe that, man. I believe relationship, man, develops when, when we come through the doors of Narcotics Anonymous. And I'm going to tell you why I believe that. I'm going to tell you about the familiar stranger thing. Anybody ever know about a familiar stranger? Familiar stranger is a relationship, man, with somebody that you never spoke to and really, really don't know. Here's an example. If you ride the bus or if you drive a car and you go the same direction most every morning, if you're like me, you act like me, you're always almost late every day at work. If you're like me. So if you get you a good route, you're going to keep that good route, man, in order to get to work on time a minute before time to punch the car. I don't know about y'all. That's how I am. No, but the familiar stranger is, I ride this bus every morning. I get on this bus at 6 o'clock every morning, and I know if I get on that 6 o'clock bus, I'm going to get to work at 10 minutes to 7. That's a given. I catch it 300 days out of the year, and I know if I get on that bus, that's the bus I have to catch, and I get to work on time. Because they done gave me 4 or 5 warnings. If I'm late again, I'm out of there. You know what I'm saying? So I know I'm catching the 6 o'clock bus. So this is what happens every morning. Every morning for 300 days, when I get to the corner of Madison and Central, the bus driver always stopped there for about 3 or 4 minutes. And I'm on pins and needles. Why is he stopping here every morning? But every morning, here comes this woman running down the street to catch the bus. She's late. Every morning. All I know is what she looked like. Can you understand what I'm saying? I don't know her face, but this is the woman that almost make me late every morning. So I developed a relationship with her. So when the bus driver get to Madison and Lake, I'm sitting there saying, I hope she come on. God damn it. Come on, when's she coming? And suppose one day she don't come. Suppose one day she don't come. And the bus driver goes on. So the next morning we get there. Maybe she was late yesterday. I hope she coming. I'm going to be late. And she don't come. So now I'm sitting there and I'm wondering why she's not coming. So I ear hustle conversation with the bus driver and the lady that sit right behind her. And the lady that sit right behind her say, don't you know Nellie? Nellie, to catch the bus. The bus driver said, what Nellie? You know, the one we wait for on Madison and Lake every morning. You know she had a heart attack and died. When I hear that, I feel something. Y'all don't get what I'm talking about. Y'all need another example? I'm talking about a familiar stranger. She's a stranger to me, but she's familiar because she catch that bus every day with me, and I know who she is, and I know what her face look like, and somebody says she died, I feel something. So we develop relationships with familiar strangers. So why can't we develop a relationship with people in Narcotics Anonymous? Okay, here's what y'all do. I don't know how often this, I'm going to tell a story about Jovan and Musk and JD's. Here's another one. In our area, we have a monthly social. Every month, on second Saturday every month, we have a social. You know, that's where you go and you dance and everything, you know, every second Saturday. So, okay, we got the newcomer, right? So we got the newcomer brother, you know, we said, man, come on, I got your $3 to pay for the dance. We're going to take you to the dance, man. You know, you got like Mitch, you got 34 days clean. So we're going to take Mitch to the little social, right? Show you how Narcotics Anonymous do. We have fun, man, without even drinking or drugging or whatever. We're going to show you how it goes. All right, so we take Mitch over to the house, and, you know, Mitch hair is a little long, so we give him the little homey haircut. You know, we cut his hair up for him, get him looking nice, and had an old pair of blue jeans I used to wear about 3 years ago, then it got too tight. So, you know, Mitch on the new, so I give them to him, right? So Mitch got the jeans on, you know, and they press it, he looking nice, he got a fresh shirt on. So I run back in the bedroom, and I find an old bottle of JD's. Here, Mitch, splash that on. Boy, look, Mitch splashed that JD's on, he ready. Look, man, he going to the social, right? So y'all got the sister over there somewhere at your house. You got the sister, you know, she couldn't afford to get her hair done, and somebody volunteered, and they all over there curling and bumping her hair and fluffing it up, and you know, you done gained a few pounds since you've been around here. You know, you done growed in the fellowship. So you got a little. You got a little short dress in your closet that you just hoping you'll get back to. So you get that dress to the newcomer, she put it on and fit her just right, you know, it's about right here, and then you look in your little closet and you got some Jovan Musk to give her. Girl, put that Jovan on. So she got Jovan Musk on, right? So we got Mitch. Y'all got Jovan Musk. Jovan Musk. We got Jay East with us. We get up there. We pay for Jay East. We inside, and he's looking. He's looking. Paya. There's Jovan Musk. So Jovan Musk and Jay East get together, and we tell them, don't get in a relationship. Come on now. You know, he's smelling good, she's smelling good, and they dancing, and you know, and he knew, and he got feelings, and they popping up, and her is popping up, and we're going to try to defy the law of nature. Well, we might as well bar the newcomers from the social. If we don't want them to get in a relationship, I say, you know what, man, I'll just say this, and then y'all can talk to me after the meeting. I believe, man, if the only way you can learn how to have one is you get in one. I think that, you know, the worst thing in the world for somebody to be around here 10, 11 years and coming to meet and crying because they just got in a relationship with a newcomer and it failed. And because we haven't had any experience with it. This is how we live, man, in the thing. Everything we do around here is based on our experience. And most of the experiences I have today, man, are not for right now. Because when I have experience, man, I don't know how I'm going to go through. I don't know what I'm going to do, man. I'm just going through it, trying to get through it. Once I get through the experience, man, I have something for the next time this thing come up. So all my experiences, man, is not for today. Most of my experience, man, is that I can share with somebody down the road. If I get a new sponsor, a guy that allow me to work with a man, and they go through some things, I can say, well, man, look, this is what happened to me. Well, that ain't going to happen to me so long. Well, okay, it might not happen to you. Just go ahead and let me know how you turn out. You know, and that's the way it is. So, you know, I develop relationships around here. I develop relationships around here, man, because I think they are meaningful. I think that I learn things from other people, man. You know, and that's what we have to do, man. They say the group is the most powerful vehicle for carrying the message. We know, man, that the group sponsors the newcomer. So when the new guy come in, if he talking, man, we don't do that thing they used to do back when I first came in. We don't tell nobody, shut up, don't talk, you know, you don't know how to do nothing but use. We don't tell them that anymore, man, because we got real sensitive addicts now, don't we? Because we tell somebody that today, man, that says, man, don't be so hard on the newcomer. You run them away from here. I think that, man, we won't run them away, man. They was already gone. But what I'm saying is, man, that when the newcomer stands at the end of the meet, man, don't just get along, get with your buddies and leave the meet, man, and leave him standing there. You know, you got to grab the newcomers, man, because that's the only way we're going to stay around here. They say, you know, man, if we don't give it away, man, we're going to lose it. You know, if we're going to carry the message, man, we carry that message to that, it could still suffer. Sometimes it's the old timers, man, because we get too spiritual around here, man, we ain't no earthly good. You know, the thing is, man, you know, we try not to get on the pedestal, man. I try not to do that, man. I have guys that love me, man, and my wife say, your little sponsees, every time you go somewhere, you know, they be bunching up, waiting on you. It's because they love me, man. They can do things by themselves. They just love me. And, man, I'm grateful to be loved like that. I'm grateful, man, that I represent something to somebody, man. I'm not a real a person without faults and without shortcomings. I have a lot of them, man. You know, somebody asked me, so, man, you know, character defects and becoming entirely ready, and I like this one. You know, they always talk about that, man. So how did I become entirely ready? If anybody asks me that question, you know what I would say tonight? Get you a 7-step. I guess that didn't make no sense. And the reason why it makes a lot of sense to me, man, because the literature strictly tells me, man, that we never become entirely ready. So that means that gives me a 7-step, man, and talks about the shortcoming. The defect for me, man, is something I feel inside. I feel jealous inside. You know, jealous is a feeling, man. I feel, you know, my wife, you know, listen. You know, if you know, man, I can get jealous, man, you know, and I'm grateful for the feeling because I know what to do with it. First, man, I didn't. You know what I would do? As she get on the phone, man, you know, I'm already a sneaky stud, and I'm acting out on my own stuff, right? I'm a real sneaky stud. So now she get her little sponsorees, and they call late at night, and I know she don't never answer the phone after 8:30, so it's 9 o'clock, and she get the phone and go in the bedroom. She in the bedroom. Something going on. So you know what? So you know what happened, man. You know, you over there laughing, so he knows what's happening. So look. So now she got the phone in the bedroom, and she talking to her little sponsor. She said, I'm walking past like I'm going to the bathroom, and I'm kind of listening, right? So the tone is too low for me. So now what I got to do, man, I ease in there. I ain't saying I do this stuff, but anyway. Ease in there on my knees, like a snake, right? Get to the door. I got to know, man. You know what I'm saying? So the jealousy, man, is caused me to act out. Where I'm sneaking, man, and trying to overhear a conversation, man. I'm in her space. I'm violating her privacy, man. They might be talking about something. Or either, man, see her at a meeting or something, Don't come to my home group. But she come to my home group, man, and she hugged too long. Hey, look, that old stud there, I done heard about him. That wasn't no NA hug he gave you. So the shortcoming, man, is my acting out part. Or I can get real nasty, man. I don't curse a lot, but I can get real nasty, man, in the things that I say. Start a conversation, man. I'm jealous about something. I can't say what it is, that I feel bad about it. Honey, I'm jealous. I'm just jealous. I'm jealous and I'm feeling insecure today. I'm jealous, babe. See, I can't say that. You didn't wash them dishes. Why are my clothes looking like that? When you gonna cook? Don't keep begging for money. Oh, you ain't got no gas in your car? What you do with your money? All this kind of stuff, man, because I'm jealous, man. So what the literature says that we have to accept the defects of others in order for our own to be relieved. That's in the 7th step, right? And it didn't say remove, it said relieve. And today, man, I'm getting a little more relief from them shortcomings, man. I'm not acting out as much. I just straight up tell them, you're looking too good to be going to a meeting. So y'all know what she did to me? Her home group was 9 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning. And you know what us men did at 9 o'clock in the morning, right? In the beds. So she made it to the home group and back before I even wake up, so I don't have nothing to talk about. So I'm not going to get up and follow. That's for sure. So I'm just saying, man, I'm going to wind this down. The thing about Narcotics Anonymous, man, it allows us the opportunity, man, to build friendships. It allows us the opportunity, man, to do things we have never done. I was talking about how I progress in the things that I do. And look, and on the professionalism tip, I work in a place, man, that I never thought I was working, and it's surprising how no one on my job knows that I'm a recovering addict, right? So I'm not one, and I don't suggest this to anybody. I'm not one to say, I'm an addict and I don't care who know it. What it is, man, I'm an addict. As long as I know it, that's what counts. See, that's what counts. As long as I know it. I'm not going to be telling anybody I'm going to an NA meeting tonight or I got to have some time off. I'm going to an NA convention because I'd be out of there, man. Because the last to be lost of freedom is the stigma of being an addict. And y'all know that. Because, the things they do now, man, they wouldn't do that if they knew I was at it. They trust me, man. They trust me with a budget. They trust me to hire and fire people on this job. I'm like a little administrator on the job. And they trust me. I'm their golden boy in a way. I'm the little golden boy. And you know what, man? I do not want to breach those people's trust. And it's not so much for them, man. It's for me. I've never been trusted, man. And it said this thing comes from within and from without. People had to trust me, man, before I became more trustworthy. Can you understand what I'm saying? My wife trusts me. And by her trusting me, man, I became more trustworthy. I know how to go someplace now, man. If I flirt too much, man, and somebody proposition me, I know how to say, well, hey, no, sir. Then I go into the scared mode. Because I know, man, that I have somebody at home that trusts me. So I got to act more trustworthy. It's always good to think that, to feel that somebody cares something about you, man, and think that you're all that. In a bag of chips. But this fellowship, man, has afforded me, some freedom that I'd never known I had, man. It's been over 10 years and I haven't had a pair of handcuffs on. I'm telling y'all, that's one of the greatest freedoms I could talk about. Man, another freedom is, man, that I don't have any outstanding warrants. I was telling Mitch today, I always want to go out of the country, man, but I've always been afraid. I'm going to tell you the story before I quit. I always been afraid because I'm a habitual criminal, man, and I think that, they won't give people with felons a passport. So if anybody knows anything about passports, you can talk to me after the meeting. Because someone told me just recently, man, Sallam, why don't you just go down there and get one? Since it's been over 10 years since you've been been incarcerated, you should be able to get one. You shaking your head, is that true? Oh, okay. So I'm going to try that, man, because I want to go out of the country, man. That's my dream, to go out of the country, man. And, and y'all say the sky's the limit, man. So the only person that's holding me back on that is me. So, I'm going to go, if they tell me no, they just tell me no. I'm going anyway. I ain't got no outstanding warrants. I ain't got to worry about them running my sheet and locking me up. See, 'cause I was always afraid of that, man. Because I've had so many cases. So the thing about trying to get better, man, it happens a day at a time. For the newcomer, it didn't take, this person you see today is not the person that came around here. It took me over 30 years, man, of using in order to get here. And the thing about it is, the most well-kept secret, and I believe that because I have a guy that allowed me to work with him, can't stay clean, right? Had some clean time, went back, can't stay clean. He missed the blessing around here. The most well-kept secret in Narcotics Anonymous is this: we only have to do this thing one day at a time. Now keep coming back.